Well, it's really hard question to answer because at certain stage you realize that you don't think about the future the way you used to think about it, because we live with the understanding that there is a war around us. Though living in the capital, life seems about normal, as usual, but you still learn how to live with the danger constantly, every day. And you can't plan and you can't think, I can go here, I can go there. You just simply live one day at a time or one step at a time. Because even with the first days when it's all started, we didn't even know if we would be able to wake up next morning. Yeah, I think this thing, just because you don't know what can happen next moment, because we were not born to live with the war, obviously, and we didn't know what to expect. We still expected that our enemy has some feelings, but with the course of their action, we realized that there are no feelings towards us and we are enemies, which is really hard. And we all have friends in Russia and we all love them. But there are other people who started to hate us all of a sudden. And I'm not the only one. We had this feeling that if we explain to them that their propaganda tells them wrong things, they will change their mind. But in reality, they didn't. And that's why it was really hard, because you can understand how people can be so divided, how they can be so full of hatred, and that was really hard. Yes, of course, because when it all started, I was so afraid. I'm not the bravest person, I must say, and this is what I realized when it all started. And I didn't have panic attacks as many people did, but still I found it really hard when people say, like, if you have something like a panic attack, you should breathe and count your breath, and it will give you some comfort. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't put myself in my hands, and it was not a panic attack even yet. But I remember the second night, I couldn't get to sleep, and I started to read the Psalms from the Bible. And I started with Psalm number 1, and by Psalm number 6, I was full of peace, God's peace. And I believe since that time, that was my hope, that God is in control. He hears me, He knows me, He knows what I'm going through, and He's near. Well, it was radically affected because before the war, we obviously had our plans for the ministry, especially we were rejoicing that the pandemic was coming to an end, and we had our plans to resume our children programs. And we were waiting for summer camps especially. And all of a sudden, all these plans are gone. You don't know where to go and what to do. And the village where our campsite is was occupied by Russians, and that was also a very radical thing for us. And we had to stop our plans, and yeah, instead we had to think about the bomb shelter for children if we want to have them for our camps in the future. But many volunteers also, they had to leave the country because they were either in danger or they simply were so afraid that they had to leave. So at the moment we are doing one step again at a time, one thing at a time, and do whatever is possible, and looking for some partnership which can help us to do the ministry for children, because children are still children, even during the wartime. They want to laugh, they want to play, and this is what we discovered, that children are very thankful for every effort you are making for them, and they're very open. And to tell you frankly, we didn't have it before the war even. They didn't ask that much questions about God. And thinking about the previous question about hope, I think that was a lovely thing, because we decided to call our camp There Is Hope. We wanted to share this hope with children, that there is hope in God, no matter how hard is your life, how hard are the circumstances around you. Still there is hope, and we wanted to share this with children, and they were really open and they were so happy to respond. Of course, we would love to have peace in our country, and as every child in our country, when you listen to them, they say, like, we want the war to stop and we want to have peace. But also, our children, what they say, and I can identify myself as it, we want people to know God in our country, to have hope for the future, because humanly speaking, it's really hard to bear all the situation. Like, I love the Psalm, SU Psalm 119. We often quote the verse 105, Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and light unto my path. But there is a verse 109 where David says, I'm constantly having my life in my hands. This is it. So please pray for the war to stop in our country, for people to know God, and that we as Christians can be this source of hope from God for them. Thank you.